Did I do a story this far on this video? I don't remember. We're on the second year of the Third Crusade. If I didn't. And the Barbarosa variant. And Barbarossa's troops are all down here in Tyre without any leaders. He's got a humongous amount, 239, which Guy, if no one else, I'm assuming Richard and Philip are 3-star rated as well. Yeah, so they could take him as well. Actually, anybody 2-star could take him, which is why Guy can. But anyway, Guy can, right now, is the only person who can come, but very shortly to be changed, and pick those up and use them. Right now, he is besieging Jerusalem, I think legitimately still. 10, 12, 22, yeah, barely. With an assault point there. I'm hoping to be able to get some reinforcements into place and keep the siege rather limited. Saladin has been being bopped around. He's way up here in Edessa right now. Basically, because of the attrition system, the easiest way to move was in a couple of huge bites, all in one turn, which is, about a month, which feels exceedingly fast. It really does. Anyway, outside of the game, I got a late start on this one because when I got home on Monday, I guess, after going out and dealing with depositing all my checks, which is still less than I think it should be, but I haven't bothered trying to figure it out. Like, less than half of what I think it should be. If it was around half, I would figure, well, the amounts I saw were to be divided, but I don't know. It really doesn't matter. It's still more than I need, given the kind of life I lead, and I don't think I can change that. Yeah, even on my walk there, the cigar I was smoking was hurting my throat, and I wasn't feeling all that well. Well, by that evening, I was already showing signs of being sick. And basically Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I was not up here at all because I was too sick. Tuesday was pretty bad, Wednesday and Thursday, it's my nose dripping, and I can't find anything that stops it from dripping anymore that's over the counter. I used NyQuil pills or whatever, but they don't dry me out the way it used to. Plus, my nose, since I got punched, is reacting differently than it used to. We're a little worse. I think it's hard to tell. It's worse normally. But yeah, it's funny because Monday night I got an email setting up a game night for Thursday, and on Wednesday I had to cancel. Luckily, there were only going to be 4 of us anyway, and one of the people had already canceled due to a medical situation with a family member, and so I felt a little less bad. It was a small crew anyway. I'm going to try to get through the beginning part of this. This is a March to mid-April. Making sure my boats are all legal. That was something I was afraid of. But yeah, we don't have a lot of chits over here for the Crusaders. So there's that. Crusaders get first pick, so they're going to be choosing a fleet action again to make sure that they can get their ships together. I'm going to look up what I need in order for Richard to come in. Because I really do need Cyprus, to tell you the truth, like as a base for my boats. And I think we get the basically the same shit as we've been doing. We want this for 2. We don't really care about the fleet. But I really need to familiarize myself. So, for example, Saladin only has 10 troops with him way up here. I want to get him moving. I got a big pile of troops in Jerusalem, but he can only take 10 at most. This guy's got a huge pile of troops, but he can only take 10 at most. Where'd Ridwan end up? I don't know where Ridwan is. Or Taki, not Ridwan. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. Is he dead? Yeah, it looks like I killed him. Okay. So yeah. And there was no upside down. Yeah, so nobody can hold more than 10 troops because that's what Saladin has. So I can kind of split that out as a reminder there. Elsewhere, I don't want to deal with it. And trying to figure out who should go in which box. It's just so hard for the Muslims, to tell you the truth. I don't think I really want to move anything because I can't move my forces. 10 troops, they could fuck up Guy's siege. That's the whole thing. What about Al-Adel? Do I want to do him? Have him come out? Yeah. Problem is, he doesn't want to get stuck there. I think we just do these. And we'll put this here. And I guess I gotta start by figuring out what I need for Richard's fleet. It's Friday. I'm not going dancing today. I had made that decision when I canceled gaming. I'm well enough I could. It's a warm day. It wouldn't be a problem, but I don't want to. It's my least favorite DJ pairing, so that's cool. But also, whenever I'm sick, like it's not always the case, but it may mean that I'm kind of feverish because I had the most wonderful dream. And I tend to have really good dreams when I'm in a fever. Anyway, I don't know why I bring anything up, but just thought I would. So yeah, Richard comes with the fleets he needs. And I don't know what this is supposed to mean. The Franks only get one of Richard's AMs for this game turn. Historically, he took Cyprus before arriving at Acre. Does that mean I should use that marker to go take Cyprus? Or does that mean if I wanted to take Cyprus, I should have that extra counter? I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to give myself that extra counter. But Philip's got 2 counters, so it's not just the overseas trip and whatever. Richard did show up later, but it's because he went and took Cyprus. And it kind of feels like, oh, look, I'm going to take Cyprus, which I want because that'll give me a base for my fleets. And, then I can, I don't know. I really don't know. But anyway, Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. I don't want to actually dig into the turn any further than the fleet marker. I'm not feeling too well right now. Forward to Saturday morning, and yeah, yesterday. So a couple of things in my way yesterday. One, I just wasn't feeling well, and I'm still not great, but I'm a lot healthier feeling than I was. I could have gone dancing yesterday. I was definitely well enough to. But my ankle has been bugging me past few weeks. It's like, it goes into these periods where it declines, and giving it a week off is probably not a bad idea at all. It is really causing problems where I have trouble walking up the stairs and everything. Anyway, I also have another video game, which I started yesterday while I was sick and couldn't, the day before yesterday, and then had to restart because, I lost my account somehow. I logged in through a throwaway email, and I don't know, they kind of fucked it up. And now I'm at about the same place after another day of play. Although, I don't know which one's better. I think my current one's better, so. Not too big a deal. I lost a day's, wasted time. I go through these, so the one I was playing most recently lasted me about a month, and then I'm like, I'm done. None of them hit the way Raid did. Raid just took things over, and I don't know if it would have. Part of it is that I got involved in the community and learned how to play it well, and the only way you can play that one well is to really, really throw yourself at it all the time. Anyway. Let's start drawing some new chits and see what happens. I should get those dice out of there. This was, I forgot about it, but this was a Crusader turn. Okay, so some additional troops. The problem I have right now is I get that out of the way. It was 2 extra troops in Aleppo, Saladin's probably not even going to stop on the way to get them, but it depends. But it's the victory point chart for this. I don't remember what I've got to go for. But I know Jerusalem wins the game, I realize I'm not going to throw the neutral back in the cup. It's so unlikely it's going to come out. I'm going to put it out here to remind me, if the neutrals do get somehow activated, they go back in the cup. Random events. One happened before I talked about what I just talked about, but one was Guy got sick, but he didn't actually. Second, though, is an assassin counter, and I'm going to use that to block the assassin's location, because there's basically a choke point here, 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 between those 3 castles that are blocking Saladin from getting south. This is a perfect time for it. Better than killing off one of these minor leaders who probably can't do much anyway. There's a number of things that aren't clear about the fleet counters, right? Because in this, either player can buy them, they go in the cup, it's not clear who gets to use them. I made up my rule on that. Another thing that's not clear, but I think you have to, is whether anybody knows how many fleet counters are in there. Both players have to kind of secretly allocate their chit selections. So I guess it's conceivable that more people could want to put fleet markers in than there are fleet markers. I would say if that's the case, whoever has the initiative, if they put one in, they get to withhold that as their first chit. Maybe that and the reinforcements can't be done that way. I don't know. But this is important because I have this big Egyptian fleet. It could go and attack the majority of the Christian fleet. Now, there's more Christian ships coming in with Philip and Richard. But if I can knock out this fleet early, That's a big advantage. The problem is, I don't necessarily have a lot of support for that fleet. I do have 2 ports, so I could bring 8 strength points. I'm going to actually send that 9th strength point. Oh, I can't bring them there. All right, we're just going to move to here. My thought was I could go attack, but I'm too far away. And that it would be worth it. I'd probably lose a fleet anyway, and a chance to get 2-to-1 odds plus on the Christians would weaken their fleet capabilities, which might be a big deal. Since in the midst of his activation, let me roll his continue roll. Okay, he's going to get to continue. So stopping wasn't a terrible idea. But by picking up these troops, now I've created kind of a difficult to deal with situation. These guys can only each command 10 strength points, because that's what he had at the beginning of the turn. I can stop and pick up more strength points, but I'm indicating this by separating these two things until the next force allotments or whatever. It's kind of weird about so castles, ignore them for a moment, like one factor about them. But here in the assassins, they cannot be moved at all and are only there so players cannot walk in and take it over. Armies can, for the most part, move through Masyaf. However, lines of communication cannot be passed through unless captured or co-occupied. If we look down in the assassin's chit, which is what I was using it for, it says blocks entry for the other player who may not enter that space. You're just not allowed to even pass through this while it's there. So Saladin's going this way, but this is much easier. I don't want to ravage, assault, or siege, because any of those actions end my activation, and I want to get as far as I can. There's absolutely no reason for me to stick around here, so I'm just kind of bypassing it. But I can't do that with this. Now, you could say, look, they're in the mountains, they've got ambushes and all kind of stuff. It's just an impassable space to the Saracens for that, and that's okay. But the other castles are really not a big deal at all. You just have to stop at them. Couple of interesting notes. First of all, what's going on? Saladin, has launched an attack coming out of Jericho into Jerusalem. And he has a huge force. He has gathered up the troops that were at Arsuf, so he now has 63 strength points. And we take a look at the Christians who are here. They have 29. That doesn't sound like a good fight. So the Christians probably want to withdraw. They do have some possible problems with that. And if they do, their one assault point goes away immediately. But I don't feel like I can stand up to him. But there is an interesting factor to this, which is, okay, this is Henry here. The forces he has don't have a knight. That's okay. Philip's got the knight. Yeah, that fits in. But what particularly bothers me is that the Kingdom of Jerusalem doesn't have any knights. Now, you can maybe make an argument that the knighthood was pretty much wiped out by, I can't remember, Hatton? The battle that basically opened up Jerusalem to be attacked, and the struggles within. So I guess, but it feels like there should be some residual factor there, although it's almost impossible to destroy, just to give them, some chance in fighting. Normally I would be doing harassment, but not going to do it here. And yeah, I think we're going to withdraw. That gives Saladin a chance to chase them if he wants to, But there's not much reason to do that, so I'm not really sure what I want to do once I've chased them off of the siege. If they were full siege, let's do a continuation, see if it's an issue at all. If it were a full siege, it would be an issue, and they wouldn't have been able to get out of there. But yeah. But with this, I mean, yeah, I can chase them around. What good does that do me? Conceivably, I think my best move is to go up back to Tyre and besiege that force and try to destroy it before Henry and Richard get in. Now, the only way I can do that is siege assault. When I was thinking about the castle, I was like, oh, like everything else, I can take that castle by starving it out, even though it's only got a tiny garrison. Yeah, you know, it is a couple of months, but whatever. If I assault it, I can't possibly wipe out the garrison. I would have to get 5 assault points on it, which is pretty hard. And siege attrition would work, but that would hurt me more and would require continuation. So again, the things that I feel are sort of key to the campaigns in these early crusades are attrition and sieges, and both of them are handled so wrong in an interconnected way. Anyway, let me make my way back to Tyre with that big old army. I feel like chattering, and the game's not all that interesting. I'm thinking about the video game that I'm playing right now. It's significantly different from most of the games of its type. Most of the games of its type, you can do, and I'm thinking Raid as kind of exemplary of this, but there are a lot of them, ones that came before Raid, where you have a certain amount of energy, you can do things, and it accumulates relatively rapidly. Sometimes you get bonuses of energy. That seems to happen here when you hit certain leveling up milestones. You get all your energy back. That's pretty common. It's not really energy. This game is all PvP, or almost all. There are things that are opening up later that I'm not sure about, like there's a dungeon or something. But almost all of the games have some way that you can get energy back by expending resources in game that are available. Or at the very least, although I don't know that I've ever seen this, but you can always spend money to get stuff, energy, potions, whatever. In this, the energy is kind of weird. You can do a lot of stuff, like you can do most of the same stuff that you might want to do, but it's kind of a waste. You don't get the rewards. You get to progress in the game, but I'm not sure that's necessarily an advantage. But there's no way, there might be a way to spend direct money, but I haven't seen it. And there's no way to convert sort of the main currency of the game, which is like gemstones or whatever. They also have cash. Yeah, but the gemstones are real. The cash is just like a limitation on how far you can advance. There's no way you can convert those gemstones or any other main resource into another pile of energy. Now, it is possible, again, there's some way where your energy recharges when you get to something. And it's just kind of weird. It's like you can fight these battles. It's mainly PvP. You can fight these battles out against other players. And as long as you end up in the top half of the players fighting a battle, you progress on this little chart. But you're not getting any rewards, so you're not getting stronger. But if you get far enough on the chart, I think that's when you get another pile of energy and you can then keep playing. So you can kind of invest as much time as you like into the game. And the first time I played it, I didn't quite understand how the system worked. There's no explanation or anything in this one, and it's probably foreign made. Most of them are. Well, I mean, Raid is too. It was made in Ukraine. I think they're in Poland now. But I'm fighting these battles and I'm not given an option to have a reward. I finally figured out what I had to spend on there. Okay. Anyway, I get to pull another chit. I know. It's not interesting to most of you, but it does affect me. We get another one of these. We get a 6. No event, but with a tiny little A that I can almost read. If Frederick is alive, he's not. But his army is, yada, yada. Saladin. It's kind of funny I say yada, yada. I'm somebody who almost never watched any Seinfeld, But it's so entered the language, essentially. Okay, so he's a 60, which means -1 is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I pretty much need to put a siege in place. I'm not allowed to. No, I forgot to roll for attrition. I was thinking, oh, should I do that? 13, I'm fine on that. Okay. It ends with attrition and recovery. And we had an attrition point here because that was still ravaged. Just automatic. Nothing can pay it off. And then over here we had siege attrition, unblockaded port, so that gave him a benefit. He was able to pay off 2 of 3 that he had to spend. Saladin was only able to pay off 2 out of 3 because he can't use multiple ports in there. And that pushes us to the next turn. And I'm going to go break for a while. I'll probably go back to sleep at some point. It's a pretty day, but I don't know. Having a hard time convincing myself to go anywhere. There were big protests yesterday that got judged a riot. I saw a video of it. The news was playing, whatever. And they're basically judging it a riot because someone broke into or snuck into, but it's breaking and entering effectively and trespassing and whatnot, the federal building. Now, I don't know, they probably just found an open door. But it's just not, riot is the wrong term for that, right? Riot implies actual violence. There was also, I think, some minor property damage, like somebody dented a door or something. I don't know. And then there was an auto accident or something because of the confusion and everything. I understand that the police wanted to disperse the crowd for these reasons. That actually makes sense to me. The term riot doesn't. And I want to go, I put a post on Facebook about it, but I really think that there's so many places where words are moving their meaning in ways that are dangerous. Because if you can call what's a pretty much peaceful demonstration with people shouting and chanting and a few crimes, which are sort of incidental and wouldn't have happened otherwise, but there's also littering going on and probably public urination. Those don't make it a riot either. A riot is not simply a demonstration and some chaos that comes out of that. A riot is a violent act. I've seen riots. We used to be able to sit out on our porch in Venezuela, in Cumana, for the month or so we lived there. And, there were tires burning in the street and people running back and forth fighting the police. And that's a riot, This is not. And, the stuff that was going on, some of it during Black Lives Matter, up in Seattle and whatnot. Yeah, I would say there's a certain extent where it does become rioting. In Atlanta, where there's enough damage, where they're blowing up buildings, shit like that, yeah, that's rioting. Here, some people threw off some firecrackers, some smoke, a little breaking and entering, and all of these are, I feel like there's another term for that, and that the legalese should not use the term riot for that. If they want a broader term like an unlawful public disturbance as the actual crime and rationale, riot is laden with emotional context. There are a number of terms that are, and unfortunately, unfortunately, the legal definitions of things are not always in alignment with what the common, and we're talking common going quite a ways back. Anyway, I'm frustrated to hear shit like that because, again, I can see the police being deployed, but if they're being deployed and then start firing off tear gas and pushing forward in a line, that's a different matter than ordering people to disperse. I don't know. Somehow tear gas has become, and pepper balls that they hit people with and stuff by firing them at them, have become kind of the norm when, I don't know, maybe it's less dangerous, but it doesn't look at what they used to do, which is bring out the fucking fire trucks and just hose people down. You don't want to stay especially in the winter, you don't want to stay outside. If you want to be dispersed, that seems to make a lot more sense. I don't know, tear gas to me feels like chemical weapons usage, an act of war. Opening up with the fire hoses doesn't, but I don't know. That seems to have gone out of favor. Oh, this is the big turn. What happens? No matter what, the French just show up in Tyre with these fleets here. So even if, I had my fleets here, which would have been... We're going to have to roll for attrition. I think that's okay. Yeah, I shouldn't have had them there. Anyway, right? 3. Yeah, whatever. Okay. No matter what, they show up there and they make their way in. They can't be stopped, even though there's a limited number of fleets there. Philip shows up with Leopold, who doesn't help a lot. He can lead the Germans, but Philip himself can lead them. So he has 25 strength points with the English that are there, a couple of knights, and the 238 remaining German troops under him. Well, Saladin's in a bit of trouble with this. I should have paid more attention. A partial siege is not going to be good, except I can run away with a partial siege. If I was full siege, I could not run away. Richard also shows up, and I understand how he works with just one ship. In order to land a siege in Cyprus or anywhere, to do anything with Richard, I need to use fleet markers. Now, there is a sort of complex problem for the Crusaders. I don't want to take Acre. Maybe I don't care about boats, but I don't want to take Acre, because taking Acre means Philip might go home. What do I want to do with Richard? Cyprus might be useful to keep my boats in play. On the other hand, just landing Richard would be useful, but I don't know. I have 5 chits. Yep. I don't really give a shit about Henry. I don't know where he is. He's over here in Arsuf, demoralized. I don't care about him. He's unimportant because he is currently under Guy. Philip wants to play a couple of chits. He wants to come out with that huge army and waste Saladin. Richard probably wants to do something. If I want to take Cyprus, I have to grab 2 fleet chits. If I don't care that much about Cyprus, 1 fleet chit is enough. I'm going to follow the historical and grab 2 fleet chits. Now, things are a little weird, because let's say the Muslims wanted to put 3 fleet chits in. Again, both sides would have to bid and maybe do a roll-off or something. It's not covered in the rules. There's ways around it we can figure out. So we're looking at 5 chits for the Crusaders. Philip is going to be... Philip is going to be the lead. They just won initiative. Okay. For the Muslims, I'm fucked. Saladin's here. I don't know how I can stop that big German army from taking Jerusalem. Once it's besieging it, it's unstoppable. And I have no idea how to stop it. Now, Barbarossa is dead. The Duke of Swabia, Frederick of Swabia, is dead. A couple of Fredericks. You would feel like that army would have gone home. I'm tempted to just say, screw it. Let's get rid of the German army. It was an interesting idea to have Guy go save things with it, but I feel like it should have melted away with Barbarossa and Swabia both dead. I think this is going to be an incredibly uninteresting scenario if this force is there, because Philip becomes unimportant. So let me get rid of this. If I get rid of that, Philip's not necessarily my absolute goal anymore, because him coming out, you know, I feel like some of this should still be here. Let me give him an extra 20 troops, right? Let me give him 10% of the army. Historically, it all went home, but historically it wasn't in the Holy Lands. But on the other hand, I don't know that this huge force would be there. Let me give him 24 troops additional. That makes things a little interesting. It still gives him the advantage for bringing those forces down. That 24 troops, does that mean I want to go with Philip? Well, he's got 45, 48, 49. He's facing what is still a larger force under Saladin of 62. Is this apparent? I don't know. It should be. They're besieging him, you know. So I don't know if Philip is my absolute goal in that case. So I don't know which chit I'm going to pick. What's Saladin doing? Well, a set of assaults on Tyre could still capture Philip. Partial siege, not so good anymore. I'm going to put this set in. Gives me the best chance of getting Saladin early. We'll see what happens. The rest of my forces, I can pick them up as I need them. What do I do here? I think I take a fleet so that Richard can take Cyprus, and I put the rest in. Up for huge forces, you know, the 30 or so troops that would have come in at Damascus because the Germans are still present. That whole, if Barbarossa is still alive, look, if Barbarossa dies, the army should dissolve. To what extent, I don't know. But I feel like 90% isn't bad. maybe I should have given him a little bit more. But this gives me a stronger position than the Third Crusade actually was in, with all those Germans there. So I think it's a little interesting. What do I do with the fleets? I protect my other fleets. I can't. So Tarsus can hold 2 fleets. This can hold 2. See, this can... I can hold 4 fleets here. I'll pull a fleet back here, and Richard is going to siege Cyprus. I could get help from Leo for this if the neutrals chit comes up. But right now, Cyprus has like an SDR of 2, I think. I don't want to siege it. I want to assault it. Richard's very good. So a 2 gives him a continuation, so I'm able to do the assault. He has 26. I don't know if there's an extra point for Cyprus. It's neutral. Let's check the setup here. This has 1 Cypriot. I think it has 2 strength points. We'll give them the Fatimid counter for control for that. So now, we have 26 on an assault to 2. That's 13 to 1. That's going to give me a +2. It's not under siege, so I'm at +1. Probably not going to succeed. Do I just want to put it under siege? So I have to get 2 assaults on them. This is ugly, because I don't want to be there at the end of the turn, that's for sure. Let's put it under siege. I guess. I can do either with the continuation. And that puts the fleet here. Just going to play it through. I get a 2nd fleet. That is not what I want. That means Richard can't get off of Cyprus. I can't really safely move anything here. These guys are in danger, for what it's worth. If I attack here, I've got a hellish attrition, and I need my fleet. So I can't afford that. I have to take Cyprus this turn. This is just a pass. Watching this turn a little bit more closely. All right, we can get away now. We can't. I rolled a heat event. And here's a problem with this kind of events table. Think of what GMT's later events tables would be. They would give the information on it. Heat's a pretty simple one. I want to know what month it affects. This means I have to go into the rule book, hunt it down and everything. It doesn't have a simple chart anywhere. And heat is actually such a simple one that I don't know if it's here. It's in there, so it probably applies to it, but I don't see it here. This is Second Crusade, this is Third Crusade. Third Crusade doesn't have the heat event on it. If this comes between June to mid-July, yeah, we're not getting the heat. So I guess we ignore it. Yeah. Get into some reinforcements. I took them in Jerusalem. It is the key after all. Get a Philip chit. What do I fucking do with Philip? Here I want to do some role-playing, to be honest. Feeling more like the First Crusade, where factions have different things. Philip wants to defeat Saladin. Gain his, goal or whatever with it. So I think he's going to march out. Now, the question is, does Saladin want to fight Philip? He's not that big, comparatively. It's 62 to 49. This is, I think, what we're looking at. Which puts us at, you're not supposed to have armies as big as 60. This side does not have them. You're not supposed to have defensive armies as big as 49. Do I have a calculator up here? Don't think I have one that works up here. That is close to 6/5. Yeah, I need a calculator. No, I don't need a calculator, although I walked down one flight of stairs and back up. Well, I walked down one before I decided that, because I have to walk down another flight of stairs and through the main maze of twisty passages all alike to find my calculator. And it probably doesn't work anyway. I really got to get another. Or batteries for the regular ones that I have. Anyway, it's around 6/5. That's not going to be 1.25. So we're looking at like a 1-to-1. We have better leadership, and we're facing a leader who might just leave. I think we want to fall back from him because, again, the Germans aren't there. If the Germans were there, we're just fucked. We couldn't fight. We couldn't resist. Like we couldn't defend Jerusalem to any extent. But the way this game works, running away is perfectly fine. Now, Philip is out here. Tyre is somewhat important. He has to make a continuation check. Oh, look. And now he suffers attrition because he's there with no resource points and nowhere he can trace to. Sucks to be him, right? He's got another check. I screwed up. Leo's neutral force on that fleet move was able to join Richard. So I'm going to just put him here. He's still neutral, and he won't be available for the most part. But I want him there to absorb some losses or whatever from the attrition, at least. The neutrals chit came up, and that reminded me of it. He couldn't move there on the neutrals chit. He could have moved there on the fleet chit. It's hard to remember because, yeah. Saladin got the next chit. He undemoralized and got a continuation. He's moving in. He's going to do harassment tactics against Philip. First one was successful. Let me roll the continuation. This can be a long process. Okay, he's done. This can be a long process, so I didn't want to do it all on video, but it's over. He caused one hit to the to Philip's force. I took it on the French because only the French are going to go home anymore. The Germans that are left are there for the stay. The English don't go home. So I want to take as many losses on the French. The hell with the role-playing on that. That's what happened. Edessa revolted. So Saladin took 10 of his strength points out of there, leaving this whole force under Al-Afdal, who has no chits. If Al-Afdal wasn't there, I'd be allowed to retreat, but I'm not, because he has a leader. So he's stuck there, ready to get beaten up by Philip and take attrition and all kind of shit. Richard's chit came up. He's going to do his assault. This ends his turn. He's not going to be able to do anything else because I think both fleets that are in the deck have already come up. But it's okay. This is the assault table. He's going to be at, I may have misthought about this. He should be at +3 on the attack table. He should have just assaulted when he landed instead. But oh well. Actually, well, no, he would be a +2. Okay, +3 gives him 4. He only gets 1 assault point, and we'll take one of these Armenians as a loss. So actually, it worked out, I don't know, I guess okay. I really don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. I kind of have to take it or my fleet disappears. Came up next. Saladin came up, but he can't do anything anymore. Philip came up. I think I'm going to attack this. It doesn't do me any good. If I wanted to withdraw with Saladin, I definitely want to withdraw with this. That gets him out of the way. I don't know. Oh, I can go into the town. Oh, wait. I can't command this. I actually couldn't command the whole force anyway. Could I? I don't know. I think I could only command 10 of them. No matter what happens, this is, I think, what we're going to see. Is him with a demoralized force in there. Philip gets a continuation, which he does not make. He's stuck out there taking attrition. Siege attrition cleans, takes Cyprus. Hey, we're going to use an English marker there. Leo took losses. He took 2 of the losses, but he paid off 1 of them. And what else? The attrition here, I took another French. And that is the end of the turn. We go to June, mid-July. I don't know when this ends. It doesn't have much longer. And we didn't take Acre yet. This goes into mid-July to August. This is the last turn. So we got 2 turns to take Jerusalem. That's iffy. But I don't think Acre is any easier to take. Damascus might be. So we have to think about this pretty heavily with the Crusaders as to what they want to do. Richard getting stuck over on Cyprus, not a great thing. But the fleet is in supply. This fleet is not. Has to make another roll. I think that's bad. One of them is bad. Oh, where's naval attrition? Yeah. So we lose one of these. And now we're fine. And do I have enough Egyptian fleets? No. I don't like using these counters. I actually think probably 2-point fleets would have been enough. And there are weird things like these French fleets here, which aren't used. As far as I can tell, I don't know. All right, let's break again. I think I've recharged a point so that I can get some reward if I fight in my computer game. I don't have 2 turns. I have a year in 2 turns. Don't. Okay. Yeah, I think Jerusalem falls. Mainly because Saladin's stuck back here. It's late afternoon Sunday. Things got weird. I mean, not hugely weird, but yesterday, after playing a little of this, some of my video game, which I am thoroughly addicted to, but I don't think it's going to hold me. Again, I don't know why Raid did. Yesterday I decided, okay, I'm going to do my civic duty, and I went out to see the protest and sort of half join in my own little way. I don't know. I mean, obviously, absolutely, completely peaceful. I did see signs. Part of why I went is to see if there's damage. There was boards over a couple of the windows at the federal building. I don't know whether they were broken. I think so, because it didn't look like they just boarded up everything at the ground level. But it could have been protesters, but I think it's more likely, given what I've heard, what the protesters were setting off, some fireworks and stuff like that. That was the worst that they'd done. Maybe somebody broke a window, okay? And, I mean, you know, that's getting to the edge of like, yeah, that's kind of violent. Riot seems like a strong term, but okay. But I think it's most likely that it was actually like, you know, the weaponry that was deployed against them that was most likely to actually damage the building. I mean, when you start shooting tear gas canisters and stuff, I mean, you can see the damage they do to a human. That hits a window, it's going to crack the window, you know, and then they put a board up. And if they were trying to get people off the property itself, which is public property, you can sit on it normally and everything. Yeah. Anyway, I got home after, you know, I spent a couple hours down there. It takes an hour each way to walk. And I started playing my video game. Didn't want to come up here. And I was just up until like 4 in the morning, which is my normal time to get up, which is when I went to bed the day before. But I didn't get a lot of sleep the day before. Like the day I went out, I missed a few hours of sleep. And then today I slept, you know, 11 hours or something. And I had hopes of going out and doing something today, but I didn't really feel up to it. So yeah, I'm going to play a little bit of this. I was failing at my game, at the computer game, so I'm up here to take a little break from that. That's how board gaming should be. It should be a break from your job. I don't know. Saracens have won the initiative. That means they get to pick the guaranteed first chit. And I'm beginning to see that. So that guaranteed first chit is a really important thing. And it might decide whether or not you're going to take an offensive or whatever. But with fleets, it's especially important. So I've got a fairly large force here. Not that. I've got 4 fleets. Yeah, I'm not going to be able. Like if I grab a fleet chit and guarantee myself that, I can get an even fight against these fleets. That doesn't assure me of a damn thing. If I don't put a fleet chit in, any fleet chits the Crusaders put in do give me something. Now Saladin's available now. And I think I want to get him down, and I want the troops. So I'm going to do my normal and just put those in. Because with me having the initiative, it means the Crusaders can't guarantee they're going to get any fleet chits they buy. I got lots of chits for Richard, but they're absolutely useless unless I get the fleet chits. Philip is quite powerful. He has a fair number of chits. Ooh, I still have Guy over there with like... I mean, it doesn't really hurt. Yeah, Philip could pick up Guy. You'd have to recover him. I think the most important thing for me is to get Philip moving. I'm allowed 5 chits. I'm going to put 2 fleets in. How about a fleet and a gi? No, I don't care about gi. Right? I got plenty of troops for Philip. He has Leopold with him, which doesn't help. But I've got 40. I mean, obviously, if I had the huge amount, I'd be fine. 44, 45, 46, 47. And plenty of troops with gi. There's a fair-sized force here. I think it's my best move with Philip. Okay, but what do I want as... Oh, I don't have a guarantee. What did they want as a guarantee? They couldn't take a fleet. They didn't pick one. I guess I'll take the reserves as my guarantee. I was stupid and didn't choose one. Quite get through all the personal stuff I wanted to deal with. I said it was kind of weird. Yeah, I went down there, stayed up late, and then not only did I sleep a long time, but I got these horrible Charlie horses. Like at one point where both calves went at once, waking me up a couple of times in there. So like my legs hurt a lot right now, and it's kind of a cool feeling, you know. Like in the moment it's intense and you hate it and you think, you know, you just want it to go away. But that intensity of pain and whatnot is kind of, there's a certain kind of pleasure to that. And now afterwards, the ache and whatnot feels kind of okay. Except that I always feel like something's wrong. Anyway, I don't know who the Crusader picked for what, but I do know that there's one threat on the field right now, and that's Philip. That no matter how many chits they put in to try to get Richard by boat, it's possible I could just avoid him. So, like by getting all the draws, I just got a leader ill event, and of course I have to, you know, because there's nothing here, I have to page through the rule book and find that and read it. It's not a good format for that. So Philip has an activation rating of 2. Wait, why are there so many Philip chits? What the fuck? Hold on, I may have cheated. Like, there's more. This is where the fucking counter mix gets you into trouble, because there's more chits for Philip than he should have. Not. I got confused and threw a Henry in. I would have put Guy in instead, so I'm going to put that there. But and those go back in the cup. But Philip, I just need higher than a 2, and I make him 6. But I do not. The Saracens get the first of the fleet counters. I think I want to go up here. I am at even on the fight, and I'm going to lose the fleet war eventually. I'm not going to get additional fleets or whatnot. I mean, I could get just lucky or whatever. But canceling out the fleets is really, really valuable to me, I think. It was relatively inconclusive. We each lost 1 ship. Got a couple of continuations. He can just pass by these damn castles. I make him stop on them, but he took St. Simeon on the way. He kind of ran a little hard, taking attrition to reduce his, the number of continuations he needs by 1. And I didn't even take attrition from it, so I don't know. I don't know if I rolled. But now he's in the position where he's reconstituted his huge army, 64 strength points. This is bigger by a little bit than the Normans have. It's 62 to 47. I still don't think that's going to get me to 1.25. Let me see. A quarter would be... I don't know. It is. 47. A quarter of 47 is 12. That brings it to 60. So I would get a +1. I don't know if I fucked up last time. There's no one with him. Who is this? That's Henry. Now, I could schwack the shit out of Guy. Maybe. You know, I'd have better odds. But I don't think that harassment with the limited number of actions I get is going to work. So I'm actually, but here's the problem. He can retreat from this. And he can just pop up out of here. Yeah, I think harassment's my only option. Here, he could retreat or defend the village. Neither one, like, retreating means I won't be able to kill him. So harassment is the only way to wipe out an army. So we'll hope for the best. Because it's a really tedious process. I've gone through a couple of rounds, like 3 rounds of it so far. So the first round doesn't start this way, but basically it's 3 die rolls for each round. I have to make a roll to see if Saladin gets a continuation. He does. Then I have to make a roll for a 1 in 6 chance that the Franks get the attack back. And then I make my attack, in this case a +1, so I have to take 2 losses. And then I have to fiddle with counters in order to apportion the losses properly. And then I go back and I do that whole sequence again and again and again. Just this slow wearing out. It's a reasonable it's a reasonable system in terms of the effects, I guess. It gives you a nice narrative and everything, but it's very, very tedious. It's kind of like there's just so many acts involved in it, and there's not a lot of excitement, not a lot of decision making or anything going on. Once you make the choice to go in there, you're just set into this die rolling, this roll off. Unlike, say, La Grande Guerre, which has a complicated battle system, but there's a lot going on, and you have these choices to fall back and whatnot, or to cut your losses and stop attacking, whatever. Some of that harassment, Philip takes a bit of a risk and gets down to Jericho. This is important, though, because, well, actually, no, it's not. Oops. I thought it got me a supply path, but I don't think it does. Because this is not a city. Maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 now. This guy is blocking me from getting back to there. As is this guy, Yeah. It's sometimes hard to deal with the terrain and point-to-point maps and stuff, and I just have a harder time visualing it sometimes. Heat event, which has effects on certain attrition. The rules are a little weird. I have enough strength points. I had to look up a few things, because by strength point, I needed 5 strength points. I got a fleet chit with them. I had 5 strength points, which is port harbors are determined by the number of fleets you have, like the amount of how many ports you need is determined at a fleet basis, whereas actual I can't win this. Oh, this is no good. We'll land here and drop Richard in Tripoli. I thought I was going to do a siege, but I'll lose my fleet. I don't know if it really matters. But there's a danger that I lose my fleet if I go here, because I don't have a Richard shit in the cup. So I want him in Tripoli, I guess. But the whole thing is, most everything is by strength points, but for some reason, port capacity is determined by how many fleet counters you have. No, this isn't a big deal. The Egyptians, they say 3 fleets on there. I really wish they did everything by strength points. It would just make more sense. There's no reason to distinguish fleets. I mean, there's the nationality thing at the worst. And otherwise, they're used exactly like change. So it's not like, you know, you have two damaged fleets, and they're not the same as one full fleet. You can break down and put together as long as they're the same nationality. But anyway, I'm able to pick everybody up with the. I needed 5 fleets to do that. I pick everybody up. I head down this way. These guys, they need to stay somewhere. I guess I'll go down here because Saladin's threatening that. Although he's not attacking it, so I don't know. I don't think I'm in more danger by being there. And this guy has nowhere he can go, and I should not be taking this with me, but rather, since I have 2 strength points, I guess he goes back to Tarsus. I don't know. He's not active. The only thing he's allowed to do is attack Cyprus. I guess I could leave him there. Makes more sense to just leave him there. He's not even active enough that I can move him off Cyprus, as far as I can tell. I don't know. Anyway, that's the fleet activation. I'm getting low on chips, but I want to break partway through the turn, which I haven't been doing much, because battery's running low, and I want to go see if I can play my game. The decision was too rushed. I came back up. Okay, so here's what was weird, because there's more than what I just explained. The other thing is I have to look up the naval transport rules, and they're kind of a mess, in part because can enter any port if it's occupied by enemy units. I assume the garrisons are units. An amphibious attack or siege occurs immediately. Basically, what has to happen is, if the enemy comes out to fight me on the field, which they can't with just a garrison, I have to fight a land battle, and I could get repulsed from that. If they don't, I immediately am triggered into a full siege. Now here's where the question comes in. What I have to decide. Saladin's only used 1 chit. I know he has up to 3. So if I land here at Sidon and lay siege to it, I can actually take it. I think I'm better off not doing so. I think I made the right decision here. But I just want to point out that, yes, I could take it because I'd be in a full siege, which makes me vulnerable to Saladin attacking me, and he almost certainly will. And I don't know, Richard might win, you know, but he's heavily outnumbered, and he has knights, but he's really badly outnumbered in a full siege. So I'm gonna go ahead with the Tripoli thing. As to me, I also realized with my legs, yesterday I just went for a walk to the downtown and back. One that I've made, you know, in the last week a few times. I've been sick for a few days, and that I think is part of it. Sitting and lying down and not even coming up here and whatnot made my legs in a different situation than they usually are, because it's really odd how bad the Charlie horses were and how many of them I got. But while sleeping, they always happen when I'm sleeping. I think I'd be really confused if one happened while I was awake. But anyway, you know, the walk up the hill was kind of painful. It always is when I'm sober. And I think it is when I'm drunk too, but I'm more willing to sit down and take a rest or whatever. Remember walking by a guy who was struggling more than I am, an older guy, and I mentioned to him, I think they're making the hill a little steeper every year. But where the pain is so different from when I go dancing. When I go dancing, most of it's in up in my thighs and hamstring and stuff like that. And here it's all down in my calves. Because walking, I don't know, it's just, such totally different muscles and whatnot being used. But again, the walk was not something that should have done it to me. So I think it had to be because of the inactivity that I was, I was basically out for, completely inactive for like 3 days, more or less. I mean, not doing much more than just sitting. And I think that's where the difference is. Although I've been sick like that before and don't remember getting hit with this, but again, it was more of a walk than I would usually do right after I'm sick. Although I know I've done that. I don't know. Back up here, I'm really enjoying this video game just because of it. Well, it's like a lot of these kind of, collect them and fight type games. It's one of the ones that unfortunately, this is how I find them, is that they're like porn games, but not all of them, but this particular one, and some of them are. But this one is really cool to me because of the gameplay. I kind of don't care about the porn, but I find sometimes I really like the gameplay in the porn games. It's a hentai type thing. I put links in my comments, the channel comments, for a starter advantage. We both would get an advantage if anybody uses it. But it's kind of cool. All right. Anyway, I'm getting back to my play here. Have some coffee. I had 2 breakfasts. I'm hungry again. By the way, there's a beautiful moon out tonight. Just a really beautiful full moon, so clear and everything. I can't catch it right now up here. I could go downstairs and get it, but it's not worth it. Hard decision here. Saladin just charged forward to hit Guy. Now, Saladin has a huge force. He didn't take attrition, I checked. 60-something troops. Guy has... Why do I have these here? These are in here too. Oh, that's gonna hurt Philip's attrition. And I haven't put it into play. Oh, fuck. Actually, with no leader, I don't think these exist. Haha. Okay. Because they've got to be with the army commander of the German faction, the highest commander of the German faction. So the knights at least all go home. That's cool. Guy could stand and fight. He has Henry with him too. So he has 29. With the village bonus, without any knights. I got like multiple problems here. I don't want to fight, 64 to 29. That's going to be 2-1, which cancels out the bonus here. Guy is a horrible commander. So I think what I do, like I would normally retreat. The problem is, if I lose this, I lose my supply line going up. Of course, Saladin cutting me off from behind loses it anyway. Yeah. So I don't know. Oh no, this is a town. So Saladin doesn't cut it, does he? Oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Saladin does not cut it. Yeah, I don't need the supply line. I'll fall back towards here. Take the demoralize. And he takes Arsuf. And now needs Arsuf. And he needs a continuation check to keep going. Which he gets. Now, I probably don't want to hit Guy because I'll drive him back into Jericho, which doesn't do me a damn bit of good. With me holding this town, I probably want to swing around this way and prevent supplies. See, here's the problem. The supplies are coming up this way, They don't want to cross the river to attack or anything. So it comes to which is the shortest path, and that's actually up this way. I think now, Saladin took a couple of hits, so he's down to 62. Oh, sorry. I don't think that's a real unit. Balduc is... I don't know where he is. He's one of these. Maybe. I don't know. Doesn't make sense if he is. Oh, he's probably this. Although that doesn't really make sense. Let me see who Balduc is supposed to be. This is so obnoxious. I really wish they did it with separate cards or something that would allow it to happen. They could even have some of them on the map and then have cards for each player for the Second and Third Crusade. Or just, overlays or whatever, but, oh man. Okay, so Balduc is supposed to be Al-Afdal. That's who I have with me, so I actually took an extra attrition. I probably took another one before. So I am actually at 71 to Philip's 40. That I think is 2-1. If I stand and fight, the knights don't help. Coming up this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I thought I made it this way. Oh no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So I'm still in supply. I still have a Philip chit in the thing. So I think I'm going to fall back with Philip as well. Now he can't do shit here. That means Saladin takes this, which I'm getting to a problem here, but put that one in play. Oh, and another continuation. Now Saladin has two choices. He can go for the pillaging choice, the harassment choice, or he could go for the direct fight. I'd be falling back on Jericho, which is useful. As the Saracen player, I know I have another Saladin chit. This isn't a siege, so I can't bring Al-Adil in with me. And Al-Adil only has 10 strength points with him, max. Because Saladin started this turn, I think, with 10. I'm not sure. Ooh, heat. That actually kills another one. Okay. Probably killed one off each, whatever. I don't know. But I definitely want to go in here. The question is how I want to fight him. And how much does he have? He's getting close to his limit. I still have to worry about Richard. But right now I want to make sure that Jerusalem doesn't fall this turn. I don't know how many chits Richard has. Turns out it's none. But I know he doesn't have very many. Because some of the chits that came out, Guy and the Philip chit, plus I know that he's put 2 fleets in. That means at most there's 1 Richard chit. So I'm going to concentrate on harassing Philip and just cutting his strength down. My strength, see, I've got the problem of the knights, and Philip is not that bad a commander. Okay, he afflicts 1 hit due to harassment. I actually feel like he should affect the harassment table. I think it would be harder to cope with that kind of, like, the Saracens would have no problem. Because they're not actually, they're probably controlling the water sources and whatnot and know more about the terrain. That's why they have an advantage on the attrition table for it. Well, they have sort of a double advantage from the attrition table. because they're not affected by the heat as badly, and they already have a bonus for just moving around there. But I feel like a harassing force, you can send out little forces here and there. You're not, committing your whole army, and you're causing issues to the foragers and everything. So you're causing more difficulty. So I actually feel like the harassment should have an advantage under the heat situation, but it does not. Anyway, my next chit. All right, we'll deal with that. Philip sneaks away. With him demoralized, he can't besiege or anything, really. So I decide, let's go take Jericho again and establish our line of communication. I wasn't able to get a continuation. My last shit should be a Saladin. What does he want to do? This is a problem. Because, well, I can take Jericho. But I may want to gather even more forces before doing so. And then attack it straight out. That could just force Philip back another space, but that's okay. I'm getting the kind of delaying action I need to do. Because if we look at the points, let's just take a look here. Now, I don't know how many points I need. I think it's like 26 or something. Aleppo. No. Sorry, Third Crusade. Acre, did not take. Aleppo, no. Antioch is worth 5. Caesarea brings me to 7. Cyprus brings me to 12. Edessa's not going to fall. 12. Karak, I don't. Latakia. Sidon, no. Is it? No. 12. Tortosa, yeah. 13, 14. Tripoli, 19. Tyre, 24. I think this is pretty damn close. Which means Saladin has to be really careful. 24 victory points. The Barbarossa, this one's 26. Same thing. So the Crusaders are just a couple points away as it stands. We have some attrition to take. Oh, I haven't. No, we're going to have attrition to take. Yeah, Saladin has a hard job, man. I think we go for Jericho. Now, that's not that big a... actually, he doesn't retreat to there. He only retreats one space. Yeah, that would cause some more attrition anyway. I got to think about this, but Saladin is definitely going to move forward. The question is, does Saladin want to risk taking 20 more troops? I don't think he does. I think he wants to win the fight. And then he can do whatever he likes after that. Probably fall back on Jerusalem or something so that he can get troops. Think about that 70 to 46 first off. 46. 50% of that would, or 150% of that brings me to 69. So I definitely have the 2 to 1. Jericho, as a town in Third Crusade, is, I believe, a +2. Here it is. Yeah. No, wait. Yeah. Second and Third Crusade, it's a 2. The Knights wouldn't come into play. So we're looking at even. I think I fight Saladin. So we do still have to roll for tactics. Oh, it's an impetuous charge without knights. That can't be good. Whereas Saladin, note that his is only go up to 4 anyway, so he's as good a leader as it can be. He gets an E. What does E mean? Feigned retreat. So an E versus an impetuous charge is a +8. Strength brings us to +10. There are no knights, even though it's an impetuous charge. +10, and then there's 2 for the village, so it goes back down to +8. 8 and 6 is 14. That's a 20-30. That's probably, I don't have 3 to 1, so I actually suffer this. So, we don't know who the loser is, and that's the first thing we have to figure out. And unfortunately, no, we can do the loss table. Okay, so we were at 70. 70 at 20% is 12, 13, 14. Put a pin in that. 14 to 36. And now I lost my numbers. Is 6, 11. Neither side loses. So Saladin loses 12 because he's got a bigger force to 11. There's no continuation. And he's stuck there for attrition. Now, there's no siege attrition or anything. I'm not going to worry about these yet. Guy and Saladin each take attrition, and then we get recovery. And they're each going to lose 1, even though Saladin has that huge army. Oh, it might actually be impacted. Heat. Okay, we got to go look up the heat rules again, which are in the Second Crusade only. It adds 2 to all attrition die rolls. I don't remember if point attrition. I think it has a die roll. Yeah, so oh, but it's 1. Wait, we got to find it again. It's 1 for the Muslims, right? But that means that we have to make. We have to make a die roll because it's possible to lose a second point. He was hit hard, tire recovers whatever it's spent for. You know what, I was taking attrition off Saladin that I shouldn't have been because he could have paid it out of Jerusalem. Or out of these other towns. Let's give him 2 more troops. I think that about evens it out. Anyway. Not going to make a difference overall. And that pushes us out of the heat and back up there for another turn. We'll play another one on this video at least. I don't know how far we want to go, but I want to go play my game. I did something a little stupid here. Not surprising. I marked everything with the locations, all the locations that all the Christian countries have with the Latin markers, to start with. As, you know, the French or whatever conquer, they get a marker. Like here in Jericho, they have a marker, fine. But that's not really reasonable. Now, it doesn't tell me about this. It doesn't suggest it, but like, okay, Cyprus is neutral, Tarsus is neutral, etc. We got forces there, but the Armenians control certain other areas. If any of those were captured, and I'm okay with that, I've got Armenian markers for those, that would be an attack on the Armenians, and Leo would come into play. But more problematic is I'm not absolutely certain. Okay, Tyre I think is part of Jerusalem because it's not on this list. But like if somebody, Tortosa, I don't know how I got that. Somebody captured it, and I'm guessing it had to be, I don't know. I don't know how I have Tortosa. But anyway, over here, I mean, Guy was not down there as far as I recall, but I don't know. If Tripoli were attacked, that would mean, like, if I sieged with Richard in there, that would cause the Tripoli and Antioch, for that matter, to both go to war with, oh, and I got like an Antioch marker here, and I don't know why. Like, these castles aren't actually Antioch. I don't know who they are. Where are they listed? Oh, wait, we got Antiochs in there. Okay. We have a Latin ASP. There aren't any Latin ASPs, so I don't know what that means, you know. That's at Marcab. Just here. What did I give him? I gave him the Sicilians. They don't have the counter mix to cover what's listed there, but it could very much confuse me. So, like, if I hadn't bypassed these castles, if I'd actually had to fight them, which it doesn't appear to be in the rules, it would have put me in an ugly position. Now, the Saracens are actually divided up in an ugly way. I mean, their territory is cut by basically this and this. This doesn't matter as much. But castles can be ignored for the most part. I mean, I'm ruling you have to stop at them. Anyway, we're at the next turn, and I'm got to not put that on top of Henry. I'm gathering the chits and figuring out what I want to do. Been mainly, you know, not playing my game all of this time. I could, but there'd be, the rewards are diminishing the more you play. So I kind of ensure that I can get some kind of bonus little reward each time I actually fight a battle. So I've been watching movie trailer videos, like joke movie trailers, for whatever reason. I don't know. It's what my feed doesn't do what it really should do. It used to be better, and now it's like not digging up content from sources that, like, I generally will watch first, and instead just feeding me more of the same crap that I've been watching while I wait for other stuff to happen. And I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I watch no matter what. Since I have first pick, obviously I'm going to want to throw a bunch of Saladin in, and probably this. I don't know. Like, I don't want to move this. I've got somebody with me that I don't particularly care to drop off. And then there's somebody, there's this guy, Al-Aziz here, who, I don't know, now he can take this whole force. Such a confusing thing. But I think this is what I'm going to go with. And I won the initiative, so I'll be putting a Saladin out first. I don't really think navies make a hell of a lot of difference anymore, so I'm not going to throw any in. Certainly, I could hunt down. Oh, these are gonna be in problem when winter comes. But whatever. Christians. I think I'm gonna. I don't know. I thought I was gonna put in. I'm gonna put in 2 Richard, 2 Philip. Philip has to recover. Do I want to put a Guy in there? He's not really useful unless I recover him. But I don't want his army wasting away. So those are all I'll go in. Saladin is my first pick. I'm in a position to attack him here. Philip. If I do, I don't know that there's any reason he'll stay. Jericho's important, but not vital. Our Suf here is blocking me. And I can't really get around this way. So what that means is if I fall back, if I fall back twice, I might be able to recover there. I've still got all the Philip chits in the cup that I put in, so I just don't know that Jericho makes that much difference to me. I think I'm just going to fall back from it. After that, I just pull Saladin back. I'm going to gather some more troops, I guess. I don't know. I really have no idea. You can't force a battle in this, which is okay. I get another Saladin. I'll keep going with what I'm doing. This is not fortunate. I want to be able to react. Made it down here. I dropped Al-Afdal and picked up Al-Aziz. That's fine. But I've got a problem. Al-Aziz, I don't know where he's supposed to go, and stacking him like this is really ineffective. So let's see where he's supposed to go. Use Ed Daba. Oh, he's down here. I'll try to remember that. I don't know. It's just so obnoxious. I should make little tags or whatever. Anyway, I've got movement for Saladin with his larger force. I really don't know what to do. It's a blessing that he's going first, because it means if the event happens and he gets chased away, at least I got to move his forces around. But it's also a fucking curse because I don't have a target I want to hit. Next, and I move down and I go into Acre and ravage it. That'll get me Acre automatically. This may depend on the order that I get my chits in as to what I want to do. But a free Acre seems like an okay deal, even though it almost certainly means Philip's going to leave. Philip goes home event off the no event occurs, which is if the Franks have taken Acre. Interestingly enough, Philip goes home is here without that. But if we go read this, it's only after Acre's taken. Just fucking don't write them differently in the two places, you know? It led me to think, oh shit, should he have left already? Is he just going to give up no matter what, pretty much? I am just so annoyed by this game in so many ways. Got Saracen reinforcements. I rolled. I got in any cities 5 strength points. The reinforcement rules for this, I think the reinforcement rules in the First Crusade prevented you from reinforcing something that was under siege. Now this isn't under siege, so it doesn't matter anyway. I'm going to throw some troops in there to make sure that ravage doesn't work, because Acre is worth something, and we're close to, the Crusaders start out close to winning to begin with, right? And I don't want to have to take something from them. So I should look at the list of things and make sure that I've got anything covered where the Franks can get points. Aleppo I'm not worried about. Edessa I'm not worried about. But I have to look at some of these others and make sure that none of them are easy, cheap points. Philip counter. Now this makes things interesting. I'm going to want to absorb Guy's force, I think, and recover both at once. And this let Philip use both at the same time. But that means the Guy chit that I put in was stupid. Swims back around and succeeds in getting to Jericho. We could conceivably put Jerusalem under siege. Saladin's last chit, he's back at it, going after Jericho again. Philip could withdraw. I don't think he can go to Jerusalem. It's hard to tell because I don't fully understand these city entrance spaces. I think I can fall back there. Because I think they're just normal spaces otherwise. Which would put me in not a particularly intriguing position. I probably don't want to fight him, although maybe. I could fight him outside. Get my knights there, but they're no better than the town. So I've got 25, 35, 40, 51. And he's got 40, 50, 60, 76. 76 definitely sounds like to 51 is perfectly a 3-2. So Saladin would have a +1 on me. I'm going to stay. Now, inside the town, which means Saladin has to actually attack me. Like I said, it was 3-1. We get our rolls. Oh, I'm pretty sure a 1's not good. That's the impetuous charge again. Oops, it's over here. And this is the big E again, which gave me a +8. So we're at +9, make it +7. And 5 is 12, which is going to be a 10 and 20. And now I have to do the math to figure out who actually won, because it's probably no one. Student could withdraw, but if he does so, he inflicts less casualties, and I don't want to do that. He could lose the battle by giving up the ground. Instead, they both end up losing it, and Saladin takes more losses than Henry does. The one I can't remember, this time it's Frankish dissension, which I guess is dissension among the Franks. Conrad doesn't have any ASPs anymore, so that doesn't matter. The English can't combine with the French for this turn. Heat is not bolded. That's why I never see it. It's the same, but okay. So yeah, now I don't have anything to remind me of Frankish dissension. There should be a marker for it, like there is for the heat. But there ain't. Moves into Jerusalem. I hope he doesn't have to roll. He was 10, 20. We said it was like 56. 5, 6. We're fine. He fails his continuation, so he's just sitting around out there, taking attrition. Uses his last chit to drop a siege down, partial siege on Acre. I've actually got it blockaded, so that's going to help. And then I get an event as the final thing, which is Truce, which I don't remember what that does either. Wow. Heat's here. Truce down here. The game turn is over. Okay. I assume it's not. That it's just this that's over. That we take attrition and stuff like that. But, you know, that means a siege is going to get resolved. Which feels funky, but it's like, what do I do? You know? Is the truce such that it gets... You know, reading this specifically, it says the game turn is over. You know, the forces maybe, without hindering each other and whatever, are able to supply themselves perfectly fine. Philip sitting around down here is just fine. Let's play it that way. I don't know. It seems weird no matter how I play it, because Richard could end up taking Acre, which doesn't really feel like a truce-like thing to do. But he's still got a siege in place. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, because otherwise he'd have to reestablish the siege and everything. I think we just end the operations phase, not the turn itself. But if we trusted these rules to, you know, like say Combat Commander's rules, to just be right, we would say, okay. But we don't trust these rules at all. Kind of cute. Richard didn't get a great roll on siege attrition. He took a lot of hits, and the Muslims did not. And they were able to buy some of them off. Richard is down to 21 strength points. Acre's a big place. He needed his full 25 to be able to handle it. There goes the siege. That recovers nothing, but it does recover this, because the siege is over. And that was kind of ineffective. We go into September, mid-October. The chit cup is empty. And we are going to load this one up. So this is August of 1191. This camera seems to have a tiny residual battery charge in the camera itself. Not as long as you would expect from like a CMOS or something like that. But and it may just be it's getting old and it's very tiny. But you know, if I leave it unplugged for, you know, if I leave it without a battery in it for over, you know, like maybe 10 minutes or so, I have to reset the date and time. If I don't have to. As opposed to the blue one that finally started screwing up too badly, that I just switched from, which is a couple of cameras ago. I mean, I had it a couple of cameras ago. The other red one is more recent. And I don't remember this behavior with the other red one, but maybe it happened because it's such a rarity. I'm almost always swapping another battery in. Anyway, this is getting loaded up, like I said. And this feels like just such a pointless exercise of a game. You know, some games I don't mind blundering around and whatnot. Say 30 Years War. Got that over here somewhere. Right. Where did I hide it? There it is. That one had a very much of a similar kind of feeling where you're just kind of running around chasing each other, blundering. That feels appropriate for the 30 Years War. I don't feel like the Crusader situations were ones where someone was just kind of blundering around the way it feels it's happening here. Now, a lot of it has to do with the whole harassment and stuff like that, and you know, Saladin not being able to actually bring the Crusaders to battle. But yeah. Anyway, up it goes.